and welcome to Smaulgld. In case you missed it, top gold and silver stories for the weekend of October 8th, 2016. Gold and silver smashed all week during Chinese holiday. While the Shanghai Gold Exchange was closed all week, gold and silver took a dive all week. Each and every day, gold and silver fell, although gold and silver managed to rally back a bit on Friday. Gold and silver were down 4.4% and 8.6% respectively during the week. Gold and silver sales at the U.S. and Perth mints ratchet higher in September, and also at the U.S. Mint continued their climb in the first week of October, especially gold sales. And we'll see that in the daily report as we go through the week in this podcast and on this blog post. Top story of the week, the Clinton-Trump matchup. We saw the beginning of the week, much anticipation for WikiLeaks, and they held a press conference in the middle of the night, U.S. time, and basically said nothing. But they did preface their leak that came out on Friday with a statement that Hillary Clinton supposedly made about wanting to drone Assange. Later in the week, an explicit audio tape of Donald Trump was released, which caused a lot of the Republicans to jump off the Trump train, even though they were never on it, and to denounce Donald Trump, and someone as far as to say that he should drop out. Also on Friday, WikiLeaks came through with their release of partial transcripts of Hillary Clinton's Goldman Sachs speeches. Plenty damaging stuff there. Much of it had to do with Hillary's views on open borders, on how one makes money by being a politician, and her general coziness with Wall Street. These would have been a bigger story but for the Donald Trump audio tape. Donald Trump apologized for the statements he made in 2005 and also promised to go on the offensive about Bill Clinton's activities, illicit activities, and Hillary Clinton's defense and enabling of those illicit activities. The debate is tomorrow night. Clearly, the moderators will want to bring up the Donald Trump statements that were caught on tape, where he described women in explicit terms, and we'll see how that all shapes up. It's unfortunate we do not have a campaign on issues. It's now going to be who is the worst offender, and unfortunately for Miss Clinton, it may be her husband, and her activities may even be more degrading to women than even Donald Trump's statements and or past activities. Enough on that. Top economic stories of the week. Again, gold and silver taking these nosedives during the week-long Chinese holiday. Now, China was on holiday because it is the anniversary. October 1st is the anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949, and they basically take the week off for Chinese Day. And because China was closed, the Shanghai Gold Exchange was closed. Now, many of you know that the gold and silver prices are fixed in New York and in London by the COMEX and by the London Bullion Association. And recently, the Shanghai Gold Exchange has been providing a yuan benchmark. And what that's done during the time that's been in effect for about a year, it's kind of acted, even though you still have an oligopoly of the three price setting. If there were these smash downs in silver in New York or London, Chinese buyers would rush in, especially this year, and purchase and push the price back up. Well, it looks like there's been some smash downs. In particular, I think it was Tuesday, someone sold an inordinate amount of paper gold contracts, flooded the market, knocked gold down, and there was no corresponding buyback in Shanghai because the Shanghai Gold Exchange was closed. So we've seen what happens when one of the exchanges is down. The other two can kind of set the price lower, is what they did last week. Now, Monday, the Shanghai Gold Exchange reopens, and to make things even more interesting, Monday is Columbus Day, and I think that, at least in the US, the markets will be closed. They may be open in London, so we'll see what the re-entry of the Shanghai Gold Exchange, what the impact of the reopening of the Shanghai Gold Exchange has on the prices of gold and silver. As we mentioned, gold closed down at $1,257, down from $1,315 a week before, and silver got crushed by looks like over $1.50, $1.60, down to 17.53. $17.53 an ounce, down from $19.53 an ounce, or down nearly 9%. As a result of the bigger decline in silver than gold, the gold silver ratio ended the week up at nearly 72 ounces to 1. Chart of the week. This chart is what we call the Silk Road, and the Silk Road includes the Shanghai Gold Exchange withdrawals, Russian gold reserves additions, Indian gold imports, and Turkish gold imports. This is a chart compiled by Nick Laird at Gold Charts Are Us. And what it shows is something I've been mentioning all year, that Eastern gold demand is down. Now, there's some people who claim that the East is always buying gold. That's not true. When the price gets too high, they're price sensitive, they buy less. Makes sense. Last year, the year before that, sure. You can see in the chart here, 2013, 14, and 15, the Silk Road added a lot of gold to their coffers because the price was lower. And that gave people to think, oh, they're just going to always buy gold. No, when the price went up this year, their consumption went down. What happened at the beginning of this year through the middle of the year, and they're still happening, is the demand in the West for paper digital products like ETFs and COMEX futures contracts, long contracts, drove the price higher. But that had the impact of driving the physical demand in the East down. So you can see that the West still controls the price of gold through the paper digital trading rather than the physical demand, because if physical demand were to drive the price, then the last 3 years, not including 2016, we would have seen the price ratcheting higher. It did not. It was going down, and the Asians were taking advantage on the Silk Road of the lower prices and adding more. Just a mention here, Larry Summers. We've been talking a lot about central banks and the Fed potentially buying stocks, which I think is a very bad idea. But of course, Larry Summers thinks it's a great idea. And if you want to read his views on why he thinks it's a good thing, he's talking about sustained government purchases of stocks. You can click on that link and see what he has to say. As we mentioned, we have published or repurposed the American Silver Eagle sales report from the US Mint into chart form here. And you can see that silver sales did pop up a bit in September from their lows in July and August. This month, they're already after the first week at 1.3 million. So it looks like Silver Eagles are back on track for about 2.5, 3 million per month this month, but down significantly from the 4 million that they were averaging for the first 6 months. I've done a podcast on that. You can check it out at the Smaulgld YouTube channel, or just click on the video right there. If you're interested in purchasing Silver Eagles, the premiums are low. Again, it's not a recommendation that you do so, but if you are going to do so, and you do through the Smaulgld site at any of these affiliates, you can compare prices, you compare shipping costs, and if you do purchase, Smaulgld gets a small commission, but the price you pay at any of these sites is no different than you would pay if you visited them directly. So if you are interested in Silver Eagles, please check out the Smaulgld affiliates that are listed on the website. Now, Gold Eagle sales, we also covered the September sales. You could see Gold Eagle sales popped up from August, which had popped up from a low in July. And this month already are at 42,000 1-ounce American Gold Eagle sales. And this is something I had mentioned at the end of August would happen, is as we enter into the fall and there are concerns about Deutsche Bank, the sustainability of the financial system, my contention is people rush to gold first, not to silver. And we're seeing that the silver to gold sales ratio is indeed falling, and that more as a proportion, more and more sales of gold are occurring at the US Mint than silver. Indeed, in 2014, the silver to gold sales ratio at the US Mint is represented by 1-ounce American Silver Eagle coins sold to 1-ounce American Gold Eagle coins was over 100 to 1. In September, it was down to about 21 to 1. And this month, I expect the ratio to be even lower as gold sales continue to accelerate. Again, there's a video on that. You could check it out. Also, if you're interested in gold priced in world currencies, I put together about 13, 14 different currencies and their value versus gold in the third quarter and through the first 3 quarters of 2016. There's some good charts there. Indian gold imports fall for 8th month in a row. Look at that. Again, just highlighting or segregating India from the rest of the Silk Road. Their imports are down significantly. It looks like they might do 400, maybe less than half of the imports they did last year. And again, the reason they were so high in 2015, the price was lower. Now, in 2011, there was a voracious demand in India, even though the price was at all-time highs. So it looks like they chased the price up, then they kind of curbed their purchases after that, and then when the prices kind of really went down in 2015, they ratcheted their purchases up. Now, India is hard to track just by demand and price because in 2013 at the end they instituted a 10% import duty, so that had an impact. So the fact that 2015 sales were high from the 2014 levels in 2013 means that the price was low enough that it was able to offset that 10% duty. But as the prices rose in 2016, the 10% duty plus a 5% jewelry tax really put the kibosh on Indian gold imports this year. Now, October 30th is Diwali, which is a Indian gold giving ceremony. It's holiday. And also we're entering into the Indian wedding season, which gold is given. So it looks like if there's ever been a time for gold imports to rise in India, it'll be in October, November, and December, especially now that we've had that price smash down. So for many Indians, giving gold is auspicious, and this price drop just before Diwali is probably also viewed as auspicious because now they can buy more gold for their money. American Gold Buffalo sales, which is the 24 karat gold 1 ounce coin that the U.S. Mint makes. Those sales were up to 17,500 in the month of September, and they're up again this month. So sales of both the American Gold Eagle and the American Gold Buffalo are on a very solid pace. We're on a solid pace in September and have increased their pace in October so far. De-dollarization, we always have a few stories on that. Many of you know that the Chinese yuan was brought into the IMF's SDR program last year, and they officially joined, I think, on October 1. There's some stories about Chinese and Russian alliances. If you click any of these links, you'll find the dollar as a percentage of reserves in other countries. And then also, just to keep in mind that even though the Chinese yuan is now part of the SDR, which is a basket of fiat currencies, it's not even backed by those fiat currencies. They just say that the basket represents these percentages of the fiat currencies. The US dollar did not give up any of its percentage of the SDR. It's still about 42%. Most of the percentage that was of the basket that was given up in order to make entry of the Chinese yuan was given up by the euro. Japan and the pound maintain their small single-digit percentages. U.S. economic data. Construction wasn't good. The ISM manufacturing was up slightly. But all in all, the general economic data is not very good. As a result, the Atlanta Fed, as we mentioned last week, had lowered its forecast for the GDP. Originally, it had been about 3.8%. A month and a half ago, we said that was too high. It keeps coming down. Their latest estimate is 2.2%. If it drops below that, now we're in this period of the first half was only 1.1, 1.2%. It looks like the second half will be the same. Yet the Fed heads, the Fed presidents keep insisting that the economy is accelerating, will accelerate in the second half, is accelerating in the second half, but it isn't. And they keep saying that because they just want to raise rates, particularly here. This woman, Mester from the Cleveland, she's the Cleveland Fed president. She thinks U.S. economic growth will see rebound in second half. She voted for rate hikes at the last meeting. I think it was a 6-3 decision. At least she puts her money where her mouth is. She keeps saying that there's going to be an improvement in the second half. Nothing is indicating that that's happening, but she's sticking to her guns and insisting that the Fed raise rates. U.S. Mint sales. Now, this is the beginning of the month. American Silver Eagle sales first day reported 185,000 of American Silver Eagles and 4,500 American Gold Eagles. That kicked off the month on a good pace. If you're interested in American Gold Eagles, same thing applies as I mentioned above. You can shop through Smaulgld. You can compare prices. You can compare shipping. And if you buy, I'm not advising that you do or don't, but if you do, Smaulgld will get a small commission. October 4th, we did a podcast. Here comes the yell and call option. I'm not going to go through everything about that. If you click on it, you can see, but I'll preview what's on there. It's talking about how if the Fed were to buy shares, we would be moving from the Greenspan-Bernanke put, which basically put a floor under share prices because the Fed was always there to make sure that the stock market didn't go down. If the Fed were to start buying shares, they'd make sure that the stock market always went up. It's quite a disastrous situation, not just from a market perspective, but also from what it means for corporate America to have the Fed as a shareholder if it does happen. And armchair hawk, Fed chatter, Richmond Fed president, he says rates need to go higher and he would have voted for an increase. Okay. These guys, they keep saying they would vote, they're going to vote, it would be appropriate, it might be appropriate. Rate hikes on the table, live meeting, nothing happens. So it's beyond crying wolf. It's kind of ridiculous, but there's still a lot of trust and faith in the Fed by, quote, market participants. Not necessarily people who are paying attention, but people who trade, or even probably the algos that have the most faith in the Fed. They trade off of what the Fed says. They trade off of what the Fed does or doesn't do. The next sales update for the U.S. Mint, there was another 345,000 American Silver Eagles hold. That brought it up to 500,000 for the month, and 4,000 American Gold Eagles, which brought it up to 8,500, which was a good pace for the first 2 days. Perth Mint silver sales rebounded from a very terrible low in August, over 1 million again. But this time, the Perth Mint said that their sales increase was not due to overall increasing silver demand or bullion market, or even attributable to the silver kangaroo coin, but rather to this guy, the 2017 1-ounce Australian silver rooster coin that they released as part of their lunar series, and they said that that helped drive silver sales and gold sales at the Perth Mint in September. Did a blog post on, yes, I did a blog post on that, and also a YouTube video. You can check it out. Trade deficit in the U.S. widened. ADP, which is not the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but an independent agency, it's kind of a precursor to Friday's non-farm payroll, said only 154 private sector jobs are added in September. Factory orders declined for the 22nd straight month. The only time that happens is in a recession, although they claim we're not in one. Gold, China leads the world in gold consumption and production. That's something we've known for a while. Deutsche Bank, the crumbling Deutsche Bank, says gold is 25% overvalued. And the reason they said that was there's some kind of global growth that they refer to. There is no global growth. There's no U.S. growth. There's no global growth. How they come up with gold is 25% overvalued, who knows? But that's Deutsche Bank. Another top forecaster says gold will snap back, citing political risk. So no one knows where the price of gold is going. I would say especially not Deutsche Bank. Now, since the prices of gold went lower during the week, we saw stories on how physical buying was boosted in England and India. There's a story here from UK Money News, but also we're reporting that the US Mint is reporting increased physical buying as well. The World Gold Council put a market update out, and they mentioned in their analysis that the gold price drop is likely to spur demand, and I think we are definitely seeing that. Some somewhat good news on the Deutsche Bank manipulation lawsuit that they settled, but they left some of their other bullion bank co-conspirators in place. The judge said that that lawsuit can go forward, although UBS was dismissed in that lawsuit. That leaves a few of the other bullion banks to face the lawsuit on their own. IMF blames Brexit, US election for slow growth. Yes. Okay, that's it's not because of central bank intervention. It's not because there's no capital formation. It's not because it's because of Brexit and the US election. and it's not because of their intervention. No, it's the things that they don't want the U.S. election to have any uncertainty. They just wanted Hillary Clinton or Jeb Bush. Then we would have a great economy, is what they're trying to say. And if we didn't have Brexit, then the economy would be doing well. Total and utter nonsense. Is passing the buck. ECB concerned about negative rates impact on lenders. Well, it's a good time to start thinking about that after you instituted them, when it was pretty obvious that lenders don't make any money when there's negative interest rates. In any event, that was the genius that someone from the ECB, as reported in the Wall Street Journal, said he was concerned about. U.S. Mint sales report had a big day on this day. 500,000 American Silver Eagles sold and 11,000 American Gold Eagles, bringing the total for the month to over 1 million and to almost 20,000 American Gold Eagles. CNN Money. Now, this is before any of the audio tape, the explicit audio tape of Donald Trump came out. Says gold prices are sinking. Is it a bad sign for Donald Trump? Trump's momentum has started to fade was a sentence in the article. Now, if anyone's following any polls, that is completely not true. The polls have been showing Trump increasing over the past week up to this particular day. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday when this is published. So you can see CNN Money, the bias extends even to their financial reporting. Such a ridiculous article, you can read it. There's no correlation whatsoever to gold prices going down and it being a bad sign for Donald Trump. And there was no sign that his momentum had started to fade. Here we note on Thursday that China's gold and silver markets were closed. And at this point during the week, gold was down even more than the $58 it closed down. It was down $75. And silver was down $2.37, or about 12% lower than it had been earlier, before last week, before the Chinese markets were closed. Initial claims are down, although U.S. Challenger September layoff intentions were up in August, up 38%. Again, not a good sign for the labor department, for the labor market, if layoffs are going to increase. Thursday, we reported another big day for American Silver Eagles, 325,000 and 3,000 American Gold Eagles. Friday was the big non-farm payroll, and this you would have thought would have reversed the prices of gold and silver in a big way. The expectations were for 175,000 jobs to be created. Instead, 156,000 jobs were created, and the unemployment rate rose to 5%. July was revised down by about 20 some odd thousand, and August was revised up for something under 20,000. So the net job picture deteriorated. They missed expectations in September, and there was a net loss in jobs from July and August. Reuters, of course, is always cheerleading the economy, said the labor market they view this as, oh, that means we can do better, so the labor market may have more room to run, as if it's been running so wildly right now. Where were the jobs created? Healthcare, waiters and bartenders, retail trade. Okay. Now, this should have, and initially it did, boosted the price of gold and silver, because if the job market is not doing well, the Fed claims that this is one of their big numbers that they look at, is the job market, and if they see strong, robust, and solid and strengthening numbers in the non-farm payroll, that makes them presumably more likely to raise interest rates. Well, this one was a big miss. So you would think that this would mean rate hikes might be off the table, certainly in November and possibly even in December. Well, Fed's Meister, the Cleveland Fed president, she actually said the September job report was solid. I don't know how it's solid. Leisman on CNBC said this was a good number. Fed Vice Chairman Fisher said the jobs number was close to Goldilocks ideal. So even though they get a bad number, they're still pushing the concept that it's a good number, and therefore rate hikes are on the table. They never want to remove the possibility that there might be a rate hike, because they've now recharacterized a very bad September payroll number, a big miss, as good, solid, Goldilocks ideal. I view this as justifying their crappily engineered economy the way a parent justifies their kid getting a D. Oh, sure, good job, Johnny. Good job. D. You didn't get an F. Good job. That's just what you want. You're still passing. All right. So Goldman Sachs says that they see buying opportunity if gold falls below 1250. Again, Goldman Sachs has been horrific in gold calls, so I take that for what you will. Friday's U.S. Mint sales update, only 50,000 American Silver Eagles, but 19,500 American Gold Eagles sold, bringing the total for the first week of American Gold Eagles to 42,000. At that pace, they could sell 160,000 American Gold Eagles in October. As you see, the American Silver Eagles is up to 1.4 million, which beats the last 2 months and is close to the July figure of 1.675 million. As I mentioned, American Gold Buffalo sales are also starting to climb. On Wednesday, I did a interview with Future Money Trends, which appeared on Friday evening. Central banks seek greater control of markets after losing control of the economy. Smaulgld on Future Money Trends. You can check that out there. Thank you everyone for listening. Please remember to subscribe to Smaulgld. If you do, you get a free report, 12 key differences between gold and silver. You just enter your email address and then you are hooked up. Or you can just go right up to the top, fill in your email address, and I will send you the top gold and silver stories as they come off the printing presses. Thanks for listening.